Hey everyone, it's Michael. I hope you're doing well today, and I have a review for you. This is Superman Year One, written by Frank Miller himself and drawn. The art is done by John Romita Jr. of all people. Now, I found this at an Ollie's. No joke, for $3 back in the day, like a year ago. And I was really excited for it. It's just been kind of sitting on my shelf looking at me. And I've wanted to read more Superman, as I've told many of you, so I finally picked it up about probably 3 weeks ago. And I'm not even kidding. The story is like 3 issues long, and they're like 50 or 60 page books. Issues, I mean. There's 3 in here. I have the hardcover copy, which is really nice, by the way. Has a dust jacket and everything. I don't know how I feel about this book. Can I just tell you that? First and foremost, from what I understand, looking at online, by the way, I can't believe this is only 6 years old. Apparently, from what I understand, this is supposed to be the story, the quote-unquote year one, even though it's like a lifetime story, of Superman from Dark Knight Returns. You know, the Frank Miller huge project that people love to death, and I'm not crazy about, to be honest with you. I don't know if Frank Miller actually wrote this. I know people have said for years that his newer stuff is terrible, and I haven't read a lot of Miller, to be honest with you. I'm just not crazy about his style. The only thing I've really read that I love is Born Again. I read that in one of those Marvel Premiere collections, and it was great. But I had heard his new stuff was terrible, and I didn't know how true that was. And I gotta be honest with you, man. I don't completely hate this book, but by the end, it's a fucking mess, especially in the third and second issues. In the second issue, despite the problems I'm going to talk about a little bit, spoiler-free, that has less issues than issue 3 does. So, this is an origin story. Many people know. I'm sick to death of seeing Krypton retold, the destruction of it being retold over and over and over again. I'm so done with that. It needs to go away and never be in a movie or anything ever again. Everybody knows the story. Please, for the love of God, stop showing me that. And I will say, in the first issue, how it handles that, and then like Clark growing up and dealing with like bullies at school and his little friends that he would meet and stuff, that first issue, I think, is really, really good. And it ended in a place that really surprised me. And I guess I'll talk about that briefly. Superman goes into the military. He becomes a Navy SEAL, when he graduates high school, and I really love that. However, this Clark, literally, it seems like he's getting laid every single issue by somebody different, over and over again. That first issue setting up how he got to Earth and dealing with his parents and stuff, trying to learn to hold back on what he can do and show people. Yes, it's repetitive. Yes, we've seen it a million times, but I think it's the best part of the book, to be honest with you. And I was super interested to see what they were going to do with Clark in the military. And you get almost none of that in the second issue. Like, he's in the military, but then there's like this whole focus on him not even really training as much. There might be like 10 pages total dedicated to the military in that particular issue, but it'll be like a whole fucking subplot about mermaids and fucking Atlantis and a love story there. I'm not even joking. If you haven't read this, I don't even know if I would tell you to waste your money. I'm so thankful I got this for $3 and did not buy it on Kindle for like 8 or 10 or 15 or whatever they would cost for this. I'm so glad that I did not spend that. And I got it for like $3 at an Ollie's. If you can see yours at an Ollie's and you still think you want to read this, go for it, man. The third issue is so abysmal. And like, I enjoyed the beginning of this book. Like I said, the first issue was so good, and it was really at a great pace. I was really digging it. But issue 3 especially, it completely falls apart. We're throwing in like different characters and stuff. I guess I'll go ahead and say them. If you don't want to know, I don't recommend the book, but just click off the review. I'll give you a couple of seconds. However, again, this is supposed to be supposedly some kind of lead up to eventually Dark Knight Returns later on down the road. I may have said Dark Knight Rises earlier. I always get those two titles mixed up. Dark Knight Returns. This book at one point brings in Lex Luthor as a villain for like 10 pages. It brings in Batman as a potential threat that Lex Luthor points towards when he talks to Superman at one point. So Batman and Superman have a confrontation at one point. This Batman still uses a gun, which I thought was fucking awesome, until I got to his dialogue. Dude, his dialogue is so unbelievably awful. It's unbelievably awful. Now, everybody's critique about this book is, well, you know, the guy who hates Superman shouldn't write Superman, man. Like, I get what you're saying. I get that. Frank Miller's too much of a pessimist to write somebody like Superman. However, everybody on the other hand keeps telling me how great of a writer Frank Miller has always been, and then therefore, in my opinion, he should be able to have some kind of flexibility to be able to write different things. He doesn't write Batman here at all like he does in Dark Knight Returns. It's not even Batman. The way Batman talks, he's constantly fucking smiling once he has a little team up with Superman for like 2 pages, but not even just Batman. Wonder Woman shows up out of literally nowhere, and for some reason she has this absolute obsession and love with Superman, like a fiery Shakespearean passion they've never fucking met before, as far as we know. As far as I remember, maybe I missed something, there's a million fucking thought bubbles all over the second and third issues where like a panel, not even a page, a panel will repeat the same damn line like 3 times sometimes. Definitely 2 minimum, but sometimes 3 times, just to put an emphasis on something. That script, for the not so much the thought bubbles, but the narration bubbles or narration boxes, whatever the fuck we're calling them, they take up so much space in here, and I feel it's sad because I actually really love most of the art. Now, the characters are a different story. The characters are a different story with the drawing of them. For example, Baby Clark has a fucking huge head. People joke about the proportions in different reviews that I looked at on Goodreads, on YouTube and stuff, and they're right. A lot of the proportions don't look right. I think Superman needed to be more muscular, but he's so young, I can kind of get why they did what they did with him. I love the costume. It's the Max Fleischer costume with the black and red Superman symbol, the S on the front, but it has like a yellow S on the cape, and I really like that. I love the suit. I just wanted a buffer Superman for this story. But like sometimes they fuck up the coloring and the S on his chest turns like the traditional yellow and red one. And it's like, what the fuck? Did you guys really not even have any kind of editing on this book at all? But Romita Jr., I think the backgrounds and stuff look really good. I think a lot of the scenes are really impactful with how he drew certain characters and stuff. There's a lot of emotions and stuff that really work here, especially in that first issue for me. Surprisingly enough, this is a DC Black Label book like Batman Damned was. And other people pointed this out, and I think they're right. Because of Batman Damned and Bruce Wang, you know, when his penis is out in that book, and they had to censor it on the digital copies and stuff, and future reissues of that story, I suspect that this book was edited in that respect and censored in some ways. And maybe Frank Miller got pissy about it and just decided to ruin issue 2 and 3. That's what I wonder about with this. Because there are moments that I'm like, this was probably supposed to go way further than it actually did. Like in a dark, dark route, you know? But yeah, like later on, you got Batman and Wonder Woman there. And it is abysmal how they're written. Abysmal, dude. But I liked Clark throughout the book, despite it not always feeling like the Clark we know, like with all the weird sleeping around shit. But like there are moments that it retains that like Clark is a Christian, and I thought that was cool. That's not a heavy emphasis thing here. It's just talked about like someone will bring up God and he is like, you know, don't disrespect the sacred and stuff. I love that. I really genuinely love that. There's so many good moments in that first issue and kind of scattered very rarely in issue 2 and 3, and I wanted to see more of those things. But man, what a bad book. And all the mermaid shit. And then all of the, like, the weird stuff at the end of the book with Batman and Wonder Woman and Lex Luthor and all that stuff's bad. But I love that the third issue is where he has his costume and he's doing his thing, and it's great. when Superman's flying around doing his stuff until the Lex Luthor thing comes in. But again, all the thought bubble narration boxes, damn, they're terrible, man. They just get worse from issue 2 onward. Issue 1, I didn't think they were that bad, but it gets repetitive and it's wordy and it's constantly taking up space from the actual art itself. But yeah, I wanted to like this more. It's not staying in my collection, dude. I have no reason to hold on to this book, man. Even though it was cheap, I will never reread this. And I expected more because of how good that first issue was. It's crazy, man. So anyway, have you read Superman Year One? Is it garbo to you too? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Let me know your thoughts and comments about this wild-ass, terrible read down in the comments section. I wish it was better, man. I feel like Frank had so many good ideas here, dude. And now, with what we have here and probably the potential censorship that happened after Batman Damned, I don't even understand why this is a Black Label book to begin with. Like, it's not in continuity, not that the continuity really matters anymore, but it's so bizarre as an origin story / not really the first year Superman retelling. It's really a lot more than that, like a life storytelling. I don't really like that either, to be honest with you. Batman Year One, so much better, man. So much better from what I remember of it. I think I read that all the way through one time, years and years and years ago, like over 10 years ago, like high school age. But still, I think that was way better than this. I think Batman Year One's a classic in my opinion. And that's also by Miller, you know. So anyway, what do you think about Year One Superman? I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments down below. Compare it to the other super whoever Year Ones out there from DC. Let me know what you think in comparison to those. God bless you guys. Catch you later, and goodbye.